My goal today is to get rid of the false rumors for us to be able to focus on the truth. Now, just because we provide the truth does not mean we're done. It means now we have criticism, debate, and everything I will be responsible for as the chief of police, but it will not be based on rumors or false facts. This will be based on the truth of what we have, and then we can decide of what it's at. And what this debate will be about is the type of policing we want police officers in our community to engage in, number one. And number two, this is about the real social issues, socioeconomic issues that put us where we're at today. And I'll talk about some of that. But I believe it's important to talk about why we're here. We are here because of the shooting on Saturday night involving Mr. McClain. Shortly before 8 p.m., 7:52, our officers conducted a traffic stop. And so the reasons for the traffic stop, I'll find out more as we interviewed the officers already completed. As we go through the information, I'll be able to share more about the traffic stop, why, what, where, when. All those details are going to be critical for us. Then, during that traffic stop, the passenger of the car was asked to step out once the officer I should start all over. We have a traffic stop with 2 people in the car, and we have 2 officers. The driver of the police car approaches the driver of the traffic stop, and he has a suspended license. That's fine. The officer talks to the passenger and asks him to step out of the car. As he steps out, there's a quick little engagement, nothing unusual, except you see Mr. McClain begin to break away from the officer by beginning to run between the 2 police cars. And you'll see this on the video. When we release the video in less than 48 hours, I hope in 24 hours, you'll catch all the facts. So my comments are off by a bit, they'll be clarified as you watch the critical incident video and all the raw video that will come with it. And so as he begins to run, the car video shows Mr. McClain running between the 2 cars with a handgun in his waist. The driver officer sees the handgun. The passenger officer sees the handgun when he begins to run. They begin to chase Mr. McClain, one of the officers out in front. And during that encounter, within just seconds later, there are 2 shots fired by the officer as he's chasing him. You'll see this on the video again. And the officer could see Mr. McClain with the handgun begin to turn his body towards him. I don't know if they're making eye contact or not, or read the statements. The video won't give us that perspective if they're making eye contact or not. But you can see the weapon begin to kind of turn the body. Whether that just comes from turning the head or something more was going to happen, there's no way for us to ever know that fact. So that it continues on. The officer, in fear for his safety, and for whatever reasons we'll find out, fires 2 rounds. One of those rounds, as we've heard, we were told that as Mr. McClain was laying on the ground, he was shot 3 times unarmed. Absolutely false information. As the pursuit's beginning, it's a foot pursuit, he fires 2 rounds. One of the shots, as described by the doctor at HMH, strikes Mr. McClain's flank. The flank is between the front of your body and the back of your body. If that means the officer was, offset to Mr. McClain, or in fact, he began turning his body that way, we'll have to be able to investigate that to find out which one it is. I couldn't tell you, except the officer is behind him when he fires his 2 shots.
Touch the area that you would call your flank on your body.
On your body, it would be right here. It'd be between the 2 areas.
So, towards his rib cage.
Right, and so
but it's side of the body, not
in the back.
Yeah.
Right. So, but to some, what's the difference?
Okay.
But from a doctor's perspective, the flank is the flank is the flank. Directly, I think when we talk about the back, it's your back completely, so you have no turning, no nothing. It might be considered a complete run, and that can be problematic for everybody when we see that.
Was there an exit wound?
Yes, through the chest.
Okay, so the trajectory of the bullet came through the body and exited through the chest.
Correct.
So does that suggest that he may have been shot from behind?
No, the entry room decides where he was shot at.
So that's what he
From the flank coming out.
But we want to make sure everybody understands this objectively. They can get the answers they need. Understand that we're going to now do our walk up on the east side of the street as the 2 officers who identified as the one who first saw the gun and then the one who picked up the gun with the gloves. We're using the red vehicle here to show you where the police vehicle started the original containment for the area in which they were making their search. And just south of the red car is the area where officers were, where Anthony came to rest. So we want to make sure you kind of have a good sense of what we're looking at here, so we can move forward with how the officers walked up Raymond and how we were able to see how there's clearly some type of arrangement of bringing a gun into the crime scene. It was clear. So we're going to walk up the street as though we are the officers with their flashlight. So they had their flashlight, and right here would be tree number 1 that you will see as they walk up, and they're looking through the neighbors' yards like they're looking. And then we're approaching and we're looking and we're going back and forth. And then we get to tree number 2, and there's a car, this white car here is as if the police car. So the white car that just passed would be similar to what the police car was coming down southbound on Raymond, with the exception that it was in the lane on the left-hand side. So we're going to do it again. This car here, the silver car that was coming down. When that happened, there was a flashing by the officer who had no gloves on, walking up, and he acknowledged them, and he continued to walk up past the second tree. As he continued to appear as though he was looking for it, somehow he decided to start to go into the street instead of away from the residence. As he started to get away from the residence, he seemed to zero in more on where the gun was placed. When he walked up the street, he passed the third tree, and in the circle here, there's a circle here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the phone, the black phone, as though it was the gun. So as you walked up, he shines his light on the gun. He looks at it, he sees, and he continues to appear to be looking as though he's looking for the gun. He shines his light up toward our Kibalon and around, and then he returns back southbound. Now, this was the exact same trail that the second officer took, except for in this case, the second officer came to the gun, and he actually came and he did with his hands, and he actually picked up the gun, and another officer asked him, "Is that it?" And he said no, and he continued to have the appearance as though he's still looking for the gun. This was done shortly after the shooting, and the officer that recovered the gun was the officer who shot Anthony McClain. So right in here is where they said they found the gun. So there's the gun there. You got it? So here's the area where they said that they found the gun. They discovered it, pitch dark. So you have a sense of the distance, which is significantly quite a distance from when they first identified it. The reason why we wanted to make sure that the true story is told is we want to preserve the history of Pasadena in its true form. not the form that they want you to see, the true form. The true form is that we did every day a posting to reach out to the leaders, to Chief Perez, and ask them to do the right thing. We have laws in which they should abide by, ABA 392,
Yes.
okay? And it has been applied in San Diego with Nicholas Beal, who was shot in the back just like Anthony, and within 2 days after his shooting, the officer was fired. Within 45 days after the shooting,
Hey, just tell
they
me.
were issued.
Just
They
tell me.
issued a warrant for his arrest and a bail of $1 million for second-degree murder. But yet, because Anthony is an African American, he's black, he fits this profile that they want him to fit, that they're going to belittle him, demean him, tear his character down, and then say he deserved what he got. I mean, these kind of things are so absurd, and if people don't change their attitudes about this, it's only going to add more to ever having a full reconciliation for humanity. And that's where people should have their focus, is how can we actually start with humanity first, and that is with first complying with respect and complying with what the laws are. And if Perez had done that, this wouldn't be the case right now, and Perez would be looking like a true leader because he would have stepped up. But because that wasn't done, then it only made the community more active to get answers. And through the information provided by Perez, it led us to that video. There was nothing done that was illegal. There was nothing done to make the police look bad. And it's not that we are out after the police. We want to hold them accountable, and we've set up a boundary in which to do that through AB 392, and they didn't honor it. So we want to make sure that the viewers of this particular show, this particular moment in time, realize the value and importance of having your voice heard and making sure the community realize that we all need each other to keep our way of life as a human way of life. So this is Alan Shea signing out from Our Society Show. Thank you so much, Bubba, for giving me the opportunity to join forces with you. And hopefully this will be a real changing point in how our society look at how black men are being shot by police officers, and to what extent they will go to prevent from being basically acknowledged that they were wrong. It was an opening.